You are listening and or watching Pwnecast. This is episode 35, and we are in patch 6.0.3. I am your Warlock host, Belle. I can't talk today, guys. Sorry about that. We did bring a very special guest on the show today. For those of you that are watching, you probably have noticed that we do have the red shirt guy, a.k.a. Ian. Welcome, Ian.
Hello. Thank you.
We're pretty excited. There's a geekgasm happening on the show today. We're pretty stoked. For those of you that are listening, I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel so that you can see this on video. I did also bring the Riders of Rohan with me. I do have the mage who blinked himself into a set of stairs, Frieza.
Hello everybody, it's good to be here. Good to see everybody. Good to have the red shirt guy on our show. It is a little overwhelming at the moment, you know. Is this someone that we've known about for so many years that he's on our show, and it hasn't hit me yet. It might be till next week where I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, we had the red shirt guy on our show, man. Do we understand what has happened? But yeah, you said blink on stairs, and technically about more than half the time you can't blink on stairs, but you can blink to the stairs, and then it'll stop you. Yeah, you go right to the stairs, and then that's it. There's no path to go up a stair. So very interesting, very interesting.
We're glad you're here. I did also bring the shaman whose healing rain does more damage than my rain of fire, Spamburger.
Oh, jeez. Here we go again.
Shouldn't be doing damage, but I can't help myself. So,
hi, Spam.
Totems do damage by themselves. It's not my fault.
I just want to do a shout out to Spam. Last episode, I noticed that he completely changed up his facial hair, which one of you people might say, well, that's kind of weird that Belle would notice that. These are my guys. Of course I notice when stuff is different.
How would she not? She sees this face every week.
So he did change it up, and I want to give him a shout-out because it totally works. It's a grooving look. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'll pay that.
Golf clap.
It's a backup beard.
Right. I did also bring the Death Knight. I did also bring the Death Knight who checked himself out of Battle Pet Rehab like in...
And I'm still itching. I have to go back into it. And it's been 3 days. I've been sick. So I haven't really been doing the pet battles, but yeah, I promised people pets to level, and it's driving me absolutely crazy right now. I think that's why I'm so sick.
It could be. He's been really grumpy.
I've not been grumpy.
3 days of no pet battles.
He doesn't have his Pokemon. I did also, we also brought back our Aussie admin, Huge Bloke. Thanks for coming and joining us with your fancy red hat.
Thank you. It is the season to be jolly and all that jazz. And it's a quiet homage to our friend.
You know, it's funny because, you know, our viewers and listeners at home don't really know this because they're not friends with you. But I happen to recall something about you being in a Santa suit and some type of Jello shots at the bar. What was happening? Did you care to elaborate on that?
I guess I kind of have to now. Every year, the last Saturday before Christmas, we get together, a big group of people, and all get dressed up in Santa suits and Mrs. Clauses and elves, and I think there was even a reindeer and a Jesus.
There was a reindeer. I saw a reindeer on your pictures.
And late in the evening, I'm pretty sure Jesus did rock up to basically go through the one strip of pubs in the town that I'm from and wreak havoc and festive cheer and put some happy in the world. So I'm feeling a little worse for wear. I got some bags and a bit of a hangover. And I'm still excited as hell right now.
Let's get right into the news. There's not a ton of news in the sense of the normal news that we have. There were hot fixes. You guys already watched the page for that. I'm not going to go into all the hot fixes, but if you need them, you can go to facebook.com/Pwnecast. You can also go to pwnecast.net and look at the WoW news. The majority of the first half of the show is going to be about is the large blue post about World of Warcraft in 2015. Now, I just want to do a disclaimer and let everybody know that people are freaking out, and we're going to talk about why they're freaking out, but everybody needs to understand two things. One, Blizzard does this all the time because they want the community's feedback. So they tell you things that are going to get you riled up because they want to see where they can take it. They want to know what the community's feedback is going to be. So they post it for that reason, specifically to hear the community's feedback. So if there's something happening that they're posting you don't like, speak to the masses, forums, go to the forums, take your problems there so that they listen to what the players have to say. Two, nothing is written in stone. Just because it was a blue tweet, it was a blue tweet for what we would like to see happen. Nothing has been said that this is being implemented. So before panic arises, be smart about it. Go to your forums, do what you need to do to make sure that your voice is heard. With that being said, the very first topic we're going to discuss is going to be the gold for game time.
And remember, if you've been playing that long, what happened with the Real ID fiasco. So if you're worried, just think of how that ended.
He's very right, and that's something that we have to remember. So with the players are going to be able to buy tradable in-game tokens for the purpose of exchanging them for in-game, exchanging them in-game with other players for gold. What does this mean for Azeroth? This means that players can buy tokens for game time, and I will be Sally Nally. Sally Nally is going to go to Lycan and say, I would like to purchase game time, here's my 50k gold. Then we're going to do that exchange. A lot of things on the pros and cons here. So what are your guys' thoughts?
I have no problem with buying game time with gold. I think that is a great idea. It's a money sink. It'll help settle down the economy a bit. But they should not be able to sell for gold. You buy money, you sell this token. You've now just technically bought gold legally, and I put that in my post on a page. It is no different than everything that Blizzard has been saying to these gold makers for the last 10 years. You're not selling gold. If we find you selling gold, we'll ban your account. And now all of a sudden they're turning around and they're going to give it to them.
So if you can't beat them, join them?
That's what it sounds like.
What it is, yeah.
I think it's not joining. And this is a theory, mind you. This is a theory. I've thought a lot about this over the last few days. My theory is that because they cannot beat them, I think they are trying to combat it happening. Because people's accounts get hacked with these gold makers. Right. I know people say it doesn't happen, but it's happened.
Oh, it does.
So I think it might be Blizzard's answer to making them money because people are buying game time, allowing players that could not afford, maybe they have tons of gold in game because they're just that good at the auction house, but they have kids and they have bills and they have things that they can't buy game time, and maybe they go a whole month without being able to play. This would afford them that opportunity to be able to do so because they have that excess gold in game. This is devil's advocate here, just saying the pros and the cons. I think Blizzard has said, we're never going to get these gold makers to knock their shit off. So the only way we're going to be able to do this is if we jump in there and we take control, because then people will not go to these gold makers because they don't need to. It's easy.
But
it's done.
There has to be. Can I say something? So there has to be. If you're going to implement something like this into the game, just like in real politics in the world of Congress and Senate, you can't just implement something like this on an executive order and saying this is what's going to happen. It has to go through this process and this filter, and they have to start making regulations on how much gold you can buy, how much you can transfer to this tune, and what can happen here. And there has to be a lot of rules for this to happen because. Here's what happens is if you allow it to be simple as buying gold with money, real money, buying whatever. Oh, sorry, that's my phone. You're gonna turn out to be a cell phone game. It's gonna turn out to be any other of those games where you can put money down for gold tokens and whatever. You know what happens to those games? They end. They fall apart because people start to realize that these games don't go nowhere unless you have money, and you're never going to be the top unless you put money into the game. And I understand in the PvP part where you may have all the money and you may buy all the honor points and conquest points if they ever get that far, which they will, because it's only a loophole down that path. And eventually you'll be able to buy tokens for everything. But it's never going to stop the fact that people are still going to be scrubs, no matter what armor they're wearing. Whatever. But one thing, it's like a gateway drug in many ways. When you start here and you start allowing to buy game time, start doing this, it's going to lead eventually where you can buy everything.
Agreed.
And that's where it goes down. And then you're a cell phone game and you will end in a year.
Agreed.
The way I understood it is that people will be able to use real cash to buy gold in-game as well. It wasn't just... buy game time subscription for gold in game, but you could use cash as well.
I didn't see that written
Is that
anywhere.
correct?
No, that's not what I read it. How I read it is exactly how it was posted. Players may be able to buy tradable game tokens for the purpose of exchanging them in game for other players for gold. It's strictly game time is what is being.
The reason I bring that up is because a lot of people in game seem to be getting worked up about that fact. You're directly going to be able to buy gold now. if you've got money that you can afford to buy gold in game in real life, you're going to be able to pour money into the game, stock up on gold, and just buy everything you want. Now that's why I brought that point up, because that's not the case.
Right. That's not the case.
It's all
the
in-game
only way
based.
you can buy gold with this is if you manage to get someone to buy the thing you bought.
Exactly. It's no need for crazy panic and things yet. But I think for us, you really got the nail on the head there, man. Like, and that was my general take on it.
Yeah.
That if you start allowing in-game purchases like that, it's starting to go down that Farmville, Clash of Clans, whatever other game we play, and it'll be a slippery slope, and not too long before microtransactions in the game really lead the way, which to me is one step short of being a free-to-play game, and we all know how long they last. So,
and really, let's speak to the masses. If you feel serious about this and you feel one way or the other, take it to the forums, because this is why they do this. They do this to get the community's feedback. If you feel so strongly that this shouldn't happen, don't get on your soapbox on a Facebook group, because nobody cares in a Facebook group. Nobody can do anything for you on Facebook or Twitter. You need to take it where they need it, which is go to the forums and deal with it with the Blizzard development team. Go tweet at WatcherDev. Tell them how you feel so that they can get honest and true player feedback. Hopefully, they'll make the right decision. It's proven before, player feedback is what changes the game.
World of Warcraft forums, because that's the official place where they're actually listening.
And knowing the current exchange rate, with what what gold is selling for right now, the tokens are going to be worth 22,000 gold. I mean, that's if you go with the exchange rate of that. I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think you're going to see gold sellers drop their prices, and now you're going to have a battle of gold pricing. That might not.
Gold sellers have to sell stuff for less,
so they have to work more to get paid less for what they're doing.
Yeah, which would kill their economy. Anyway.
I agree with that. And we'll be watching this pretty heavily. We're not going to spend too much more time on it to save time, but we're going to be watching this pretty heavily and seeing how it all plays out, making sure that we update you guys and bring you guys into what's happening. Hopefully, the masses will speak, and however it plays out, hopefully Blizzard does the right thing. Typically they do. They've had a few small...
Fight the power.
But I wasn't sure what was happening there. What was going on? Also, a thing to note, heirlooms, looms, BOAs, whatever you want to call them. I call them BOAs. They are getting an account-wide collection UI and upgrade tokens that can be used on heirlooms will be obtainable through different forms of content. So they are going to get a nice little UI to organize all your stuff, which I think is awesome, because I have stuff on different tunes. I don't even know I couldn't even tell you.
No tune has it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's their heirlooms the BOAs are all over the place. So
about time.
I just thought about that. Once you get an heirloom on a certain character and then you're done with it, does it just stay clogging your bags forever, or can you delete it with... I guess you could just delete it and then summon it again, or is there a way to send it back into your...
Yeah,
you can void storage them.
Back to another tune if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or you do a bank tune. I have a bank tune that collects them all.
Yeah, I put them in the bank, because you might roll another class that needs that specific stat set.
I have deleted a few in the past by accident, or deleted a tune and not realized, and you can just go back and buy them again.
Yep.
Well, thankfully they stopped that, right? Because I did the same thing. I had a tune that had all my heirlooms on, and I deleted it before they stopped it, and I lost every single heirloom.
Ouchies. So I haven't done it for a while. You only do it once.
One of the other interesting things that was brought about is Blizzard is working on letting players send out tweets, including screenshots from within WoW regarding their achievements. Now, this was also a huge upset because a lot of people don't use Twitter. For someone like us, podcasters, I think that's awesome, because we have a podcast Twitter and people like that. I can see where it won't be useful for some people. Here's all I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let everybody speak. If you don't like it, don't use it. Boom. It's really that simple. Stop freaking out about it. Quit calling it useless. If you don't like it, don't use it.
Come on, these are the same Mythic players that freak out playing LFR.
Yeah,
I don't like LFR, but then I'll play the damn thing.
Like, it's not going to be... How do you feel about that, Ian?
Well, that's actually the thing. I was just thinking. I thought they meant that you'd be able to send tweets in general chat and stuff, so then everyone would be exposed to it constantly.
That was my understanding of it as well.
No, I think when you get achievements and screenshots, you can tweet it to your Twitter from games.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. See, I thought it was cool because we do Twitter, but to the average everyday who doesn't do Twitter...
I'm cautious about this one because I've seen what happens in trade chat half an hour before servers go down. I don't really want that in my Twitter feed as well.
The only thing I'm really worried about is if it's going to affect the communication with Blizzard developers. Twitter's kind of become the main place to talk to Blizzard developers, and we've gotten tons of information we never would have before from it. So if Twitter is open to everyone playing World of Warcraft, would they get inundated with responses and have to stop?
Agreed. That's actually that's a good point.
I think they're prepared for that. I think the huge wave of people that Blizzard hired in the last, year and a half, 2 years.
Well, it wasn't me or Ian that got hired, so we don't know who they hired, but it wasn't us.
It will be.
Well, if I keep sending tweets out to CM Lore, maybe this will be a way for me to just annoy him a little bit further to get him on the show.
Surely they would be expecting an influx. Like, if they're going to implement something like that where it's utilizing Twitter, and obviously, like Ian said, that's how we predominantly contact them, there would have to be sort of like a battle plan formulated. They would know what they're getting in for and ways to work around it. Well, I hope they would.
I hope they know what they're doing.
Like I said, especially on a Tuesday night before shutdown.
Another thing that's really important to mention is there's been a lot of speculation on whether or not Garrisons were going to be continuing past Warlords, because the tweet came out that, Garrisons were intended only for Warlords, and I think that tweet was not taken the correct way to begin with. What they meant is they asked why the Garrison stuff isn't mobile, and they said it's for Warlords. I don't think they meant they're taking it out in Warlords. I think they meant it's to be logged into. They want to see you in-game, not on your phone. But they did say that Garrisons are getting a ton of improvements. Daily visitors that send you on group content with fun rewards, new items to buy resources with, new missions, new items to modify followers, missions for professions, and an additional tier of Garrison invasions. This tells me, I might be wrong, but this tells me that the Garrisons are possibly here to stay. I can't imagine the revolt of the WoW community if they ever try to take the Garrisons away.
Yeah.
I remember the quote you were talking about before. I think what they said was that they wouldn't make a mobile app because they consider the Garrison a Warlords of Draenor feature, and they would want to make something that affects the entire game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which implies the Garrison will not be in further expansions. We'll probably start over with a new one or something.
Oh, don't say that. That makes me sad.
I just don't see how, with him saying they made it only for Warlords in terms of that, and how you're going to move everyone there. I could see them maybe like if they do a Great Sea expansion, maybe you get a ship for a Garrison. They need someone to kind of start over.
Think of that.
They didn't continue, like the farm from Pandaria was dropped completely, and they made kind of a replacement farm with
they did
Garrison's herb.
Start a new garrison, a new expansion, and have an alliance airship, gather all your followers up and take them to the new... Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
We should really work for Blizzard.
And Legendary Follower coming up next.
Yes, Legendary Follower is coming in the next patch.
I'm one of those people where I'm not the new and greatest thing, and I think there's a lot of people out there like me in a way, whereas if the new expansion comes out and they say, okay, well, there's this new castle that you have to build on this world, I'm going to be like, who cares about the Garrison? I want to go over here and play around with this one over here. And that's just my attitude towards it. And, I mean, think about it like this, though, if you put it in perspective. I don't play this game I don't play this game. I don't play my Garrison very often, and almost everything in there is already a level 3. And it's like it wasn't that hard to get level 3. I'm not going to miss it necessarily that much. 2 years from now, when the Garrison's 2 years old, I'm really not going to care if they get rid of it. I'll just play like, where's the next one? You know what I mean?
Frizy, here's the deal, though.
You keep growing.
Right. Here's the deal. It grows with you. And as long as it grows with you and you have it at level 3, it takes they don't want it to be a huge time sink. Although for me it is, because I love being in it.
Me too.
I love walking around and having people call me commander. It's an ego thing.
I sit by the fire, so...
Right.
Same.
But as long as you have a level 3, it's going to benefit you tremendously. There are so many benefits you get off those level 3 buildings.
Right.
I'm making blacksmith pieces left and right like they're nothing.
Level 2 Gladiator Sanctum, I jumped off a cliff and did not die. Just throwing that out there.
No, I'm not saying nothing bad about that. I'm just saying 2 years from now, I may not care that much.
I get what you're
I'm
saying. Like, it might get old. So by then, if something new rolls around.
That kind of reminds me how I think in that same quote about the Garrison being a Warlords-only feature, he said, looking back, we wish archaeology was a Cataclysm-only feature instead of having to update each expansion.
Yikes.
True.
So that's a pretty interesting idea. Though I like archaeology.
Also,
coming from a 700 archaeologist that loves the war, I love archaeology. I think it's great.
Flight Masters, guys. Flight Masters.
We had a really cool farm in Pandaria. How many of you guys have gone back to it after level up?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That was
when
never
I think
a really cool farm.
how I think they're going to handle garrisons in the future. They'll abandon the garrison on Draenor for a new thing to start over
outpost
so
or
you can
something.
progress again.
New cool orange is the new black.
Can I tell you that the tiller sucked, and I never liked that farm, ever. Ever.
I just wonder why they all were written like they had country accents.
Right? Like, that was a huge typecast stereotype of farmers.
And then there was the one.
And actually, it more
random
annoyed me that
panda.
they didn't have, if they had the country stereotype dialogue, why didn't they, except, well, Mudmug did, but how come the rest had standard voice acting?
True. Good point.
It was that one random panda that had the Scottish accent too. I didn't understand it.
You're right.
I get to the middle of the ocean.
Flight
The,
Masters.
Just quick, real super duper quick before the Flight Masters, with the Warlords, with the Garrisons, it has been mentioned, and I'm on the other screen trying to find the blue post at the moment, where they did say that part of the reason that it was limited to this game is because they're using it as a testing ground to flesh out ideas that they're trying to implement for future expansion packs. They didn't elaborate to what or anything like that, but essentially the mechanic of everyone having their individual little like land masses, and that's literally all they gave away. So I'm just going to quietly sit here and try and find that. Now
Please
back
find
to
us
Flight
something
Masters.
interesting. So Flight Masters number 3, because it's the third time I've tried. It's just really quick. Flight Masters are getting a more direct. They're getting more direct routes. I thought this was already happening in Warlords of Draenor. Little did I know it got worse.
Okay. I got something to say about Flight Masters. Go ahead, Lycan.
Put something in there first. So, with the Flight Masters, I do agree that they need shorter distances. I think that would alleviate some of this, because people are still bitching about the flying. And let me ask the 5 of you that are sitting there, how many people do you see sitting, or how many people sitting here think that non-flying is a game breaker now? After being in this for almost a month, how many people here say that non-flying is a game breaker? Exactly. Wow, come on.
Hold on. Okay, I understand where you're coming from, liking it, because you don't necessarily need flying in the game to make you better player. It's not going to help you be a better player.
Agreed.
But I really need to fly. It's one of those things where it's affecting me in my soul, and I pay $15 a month and I want to fly.
Set your hearth back to Pandaland or to Stormwind, and you can fly your little heart's desire.
Right.
It doesn't bother me because I've gotten so used to not flying that when I go to Stormwind, I forget that I can fly, and I'm still mounted on my mount.
The only thing I really miss is the flying mounts animations, because many of them weren't really designed to be on the ground. I think what they should do is give you an option to have them hover so you can still see the flying animations, like the ones that don't have ground animations do.
Yeah, I miss the wings. I miss the wings when they would...
The proto-drakes.
Yeah, so then it would still look like it's flying, but it would function just like a ground mount.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
So
good
you
point.
can get the animations but not fly.
Maybe even low-level flying. Like, yeah, you can fly, but you can only go,
You know what? And
2 foot off the ground.
somebody made a good point about that, tying that in with the archaeology. There are some archaeology dig sites that are absolute pains in the asses trying to get around from point to point. That, why not try to integrate that in with a flying mechanism of some type for archaeology? But yeah, even a low-level flying like that, where you're right, like 2 yards above the ground, to get over some of these obstacles and make it a lot easier, I think would be a lot better. Because sometimes you're up on a cliff, and then you see your little archaeology thing, you got to jump down, and it's like halfway in between. So you have to go all the way back around to get back up on the cliff again. Yeah. You're right. A low-level flying would be perfect.
2 words. Aviana's feather is it's I don't know what to call it. It's not a trinket and it's not a toy because it doesn't go into your toy box. It just stays in your bag. But this thing that I found in Draenor, it's called Aviana's feather. You push the button and it makes you shoot up into the sky and glide down. So you can pretty much get to anywhere you need to get to that you can't normally get to.
That's how flying mounts should work in the future.
Great.
I got something to say about flight masters. Okay, so if you're not going to let us fly or whatever, you got to let me customize my flight master. I want to be able to change his name. I want to give him his own flight master outfit. Because I literally walk up to him and what is his name? Long Drink,
Sounds
isn't
like
it?
a dwarf name, which is weird because he's a human.
He's a human.
Long.
Listen,
Yeah, you should be able to customize your flight masters and make them really super cool when they come up to you, like, where are you flying today? You know, or you going to your garrison? What a shock. You know what I mean?
Ryza, did you play with Barbies as a child?
Choose what type of flying mount your garrison will use for flight paths.
That idea I do like.
That'd be cool.
Customization, if you're not going to let us fly, let us have a little fun with the flight masters. You want to use a bat or a dragon or a worm or use whatever you got to do to
If you want
fly.
to change their clothes and their name and their hairstyle, you might play Barbies. That might be more fun for
Be
you.
able to
if
put
you
the
have
makeup
Barbies.
on for them.
Totally.
Do their hair differently.
What's going on with? I don't
Mine
know.
would be all on dead with the mohawk.
I don't know what to say
you know.
about that. But they
planned out far too much already.
I don't know.
hopefully we'll see some more good stuff in the wings. Check out the page. We did post it. We also, Aja, one of our staff writers, did do a pretty in-depth piece on the Pwnecast.net under the WoW News section. We are actually going to move on out of the topic, so I can do a little bit of timekeeping, and because we have some good things. We have a little bit of a lore section with Lycan, and then after his lore section, we did have a fan question, and we were going to have our red shirt guy and Lycan do a little bit of theory crafting for you guys. So I'm going to take it away to Lycan. I promise not to interrupt until you're done.
Well, it's really not more of a lore section, but we've been covering over the last couple episodes Medivh, Aegwynn, the guardianship of the Guardians of Tirisfal, and also Khadgar. And Ian, I'd love to have your opinion on this. Ro hit a couple good questions on it, but as the first time you log in, when 6.0 happened, you saw Khadgar in Raven form above the Blasted Lands.
Yeah, that is really weird. And he has a Tish, which Medan. I'm really starting to think, though, they're trying to retcon Medan without officially retconning him, though.
Well, my theory was, well, Ro made a good point saying maybe it was Khadgar, or Medivh was Khadgar. And, the opposite way.
It does fit.
But what I thought is that, okay, so we have Medivh, who was, basically, had Sargeras inside of him, and he fought them because that was what that 20-year coma was. It was the fighting of the good part and the evil part that was inside of him.
Yeah, the evil part won.
Right. What if, now this is my opinion, because you saw Medivh come back as a ghost. What if he is inside Khadgar? And they explain that with the character model change, why he looks a lot more viral?
He double possessed someone. That
right.
would be pretty neat. I hadn't thought of it that way.
So he turns around and he possesses Khadgar to finish his work of the mistakes that he made on Azeroth and trying to stop this new invasion of the Horde.
That would explain why he's so obsessed with Gul'dan, because they talk about how they're old enemies, but Khadgar never met Gul'dan.
Right.
And, though, I'm not sure if maybe they've changed that, because even Gul'dan says in questing that he looked it up and learned that his main universe self had a, quote, history with Khadgar. So maybe they've changed something.
Yeah, because it was always with Medivh.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though, there was something really weird about Medivh. When the Warlords of Draenor beta first start, you know the quest line you get at level 95 to confront Gul'dan?
Yeah.
Well, in the first few builds, and Shadowmoon Valley wasn't open, people only saw this in Frostfire, if I'm not mistaken. You know how he has his little council with Cho'Gall and Tarangor and the others? Well, originally there was a fourth person with him that was a silhouette of Medivh's model called Shadowy Figure.
See, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
See, this is why you're good at
I
your
made a
job,
post
mate. You
about
don't
it on
miss
this
anything.
planet when it happened. It was removed several builds later. I'm thinking maybe originally, since Warlords of Draenor had a story that was rewritten a ton of times in development, I'm thinking maybe at one point, alternate universe Medivh was involved in something.
But I can't see how that happened because this is way the time that we're in now it's before the original Dark Portal, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the original was about 30 years ago.
Yeah, the timeline though was kind of messed up even before Garrosh arrived, because Rolkan never died. So because of that, Nerzul's wife. So because of that, Kil'jaeden could never have tempted Nerzul. So probably Gul'dan was trying to convert them some other way, and thus Medivh would have gotten in the picture sooner.
Yeah, this is what concerned me because, like I said, and also if let's say Khadgar is the next Guardian, where the hell's Medan?
Yeah.
Because here I can even tie this in with the whole Medivh possession thing. Is that okay? So you're the Guardian, and you know Medivh was the most powerful of them all. You have to admit. I mean, Adrian was good. She just had her arrogance. She thought she killed Sargeras, but it was that arrogance about her that you're not taking down a Titan by yourself.
And before Medivh, no one was born as a Guardian.
Right. So if you're taking, Medan into the story, if Medan turns around and we have Medivh come back as possession inside Khadgar, and Medan knows this, why not pass the staff back to the prior, more powerful Guardian?
We'll explain why he would get it back. Though I'm always thinking one of these days maybe we'll get a rewritten version of the story where it's Khadgar who did everything Medan did, since they've mentioned him once since the comics.
I can't see that. I'm sorry that Tower book, The Last Guardian, wasn't just an epic book. Yeah, and plus, everything tied in with Karazhan. I would hate to see them retcon that much. I understand that's what they're trying to do with Warlords of Draenor. They're trying to push in the direction that we want to go in. Mm-hmm. But I can't see them retconning that much.
Oh, no, Last Guardian wouldn't be affected. Medan wasn't in that.
No, Medivh. If they're going to retcon, say it was all Khadgar.
No, I was going to retcon. No, I think they might retcon all the stuff Medan did.
Oh, okay.
Am I the only one that doesn't know what retcon means?
It means to change the story, state that what was previously there was no longer canon.
Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly, and people
I don't know either.
Probably think I'd be against this, but I really don't mind retcons all that much as long as they're announced as such. Like, if Chris Metzen had said, we retconned it so Varian always wanted Kurdrin to be on the Council of Three Hammers, that would have been as acceptable an answer as what they did answer.
Right.
That most famous of answers.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm blown. Question. We had a question on the page. Let me bring it up for you guys real quick. We had a question from Gregory Meckham on the Phonecast page, and the question is exactly as this is how it's worded. Okay, what happened to Lady Sylvanas' sister? Now, I know that there's one that's missing in action, so maybe, Ian, what do you guys think? Where's the sister?
If the question asker is referring to Illyria, there's actually a really interesting quest in Warlords of Draenor about that.
Really?
Yeah. The inns, you know how each day in the inn you can get quests?
Yeah.
There is one where a night elf appears called the Cowled Ranger. She gives a quest called the Huntresses and says that she is looking for high elven artifacts, but her purpose cannot be disclosed to you. If you go, that quest takes you to Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, where you find a high elven arrow. Then the quest giver kind of freaks out and says, "No, this can't be," and leaves. And then if she ever returns again, sometimes the inn followers will come back with daily quest versions, and that one she will say, "Okay, you have earned my trust. I will tell you why I'm here. I'm looking for Illyria Windrunner. We believe that she is somehow in alternate Draenor."
Really? I have not followed that.
Yeah.
But you know what, that upsets me, though, because they said they weren't going to talk about them. They said they were not talking about Terralion and Illyria in this expansion.
I'm guessing maybe it's just a little nod to them, because she does say that we're looking for them and we think they might have ended up here somehow, but there's no further lead. She just says, "Any more high elven artifacts you find, give to me."
Do you know what I think? I think they lie.
It seemed that way.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Quest, you get a little spirit owl companion pet.
I'll have to check in it, because I thought I did all those ones, but I'm definitely coming back
It's
to
called
that.
the Huntresses.
we also have a question from Christina Walden. Her question is, why do Worgen druids have cat forms? I always found this strange since Worgens are pretty much werewolves. Also, if you could have a dream race / combo, what would it be? Mine would be a gnome druid. So let's take the first part of that question and then we'll ask everybody's favorite combo.
I can answer that because all cats are girls and all dogs are boys.
Because what if you have a female Worgen druid?
Then you're going to have to use your travel form to turn into a cat.
But I guess she's asking why do Worgens have druids?
Actually relates to how Worgen were created. Worgen weren't originally a race. They were an attempt by the Night Elves to create a wolf form for druids. They called it pack form. But something went terribly wrong, and instead of turning into wolves, they started turning into weird half-night elf, half-wolf monsters called Worgen. And then it became infectious and started affecting humans. And Malfurion said that pack form should never be used by any druid. It's too dangerous. So the Worgen aren't allowed to use pack form. They're using the pre-existing cat form.
The one that's acceptable.
Permanently pack form.
I didn't know this.
We just got an answer to the question that none of us would have been able to answer.
Yeah, there's a whole concept about it, actually. One of the last ones they did, I think.
Good answer.
I doff my hat, suchly.
So now let's go.
The comic that describes this as Curse of the Worgen. It's really good. It actually sheds a lot of light on the Gilneas storyline and shows a lot of stuff that I think was probably cut from it that would have made it make a lot more sense. It introduces a really cool villain, too, who's just kind of killed off. I guess he was supposed to be the villain of the starting zone, but he just kind of dies off screen.
Nice. I'll have to
He's
check
called
that
Alpha
out.
Prime. I hope they bring him back someday, because you can never stay dead.
No.
So what dream race class combo would you have, Frieza?
Oh, that's a very good question. A troll paladin?
They do exist in the lore.
Wait, do they, they don't exist right now.
Oh, you can find
in the lore,
not as playable classes,
Yeah.
but the Zandalari have them. They're called
Yeah.
free.
I would say a troll paladin. I like to see a troll paladin. That'd be kind of weird. I wouldn't play it.
That'd be awesome.
You can fix them in Throne of Thunder.
Crap out of it.
Oh.
What about you? Like, in
I didn't
what
know
would be
that.
your combo?
Oh, I'm all about the Worgen. I'd love to have a Worgen shaman, but I know that's never going to happen.
There was
That's
one in Cataclysm, actually.
Yeah,
In the beta, they had a Worgen who was a shaman of the Earthen Ring, and then they changed her to be a druid later on. So I guess they thought about it for a while.
That's messed
Yeah.
up.
I just like the Worgen class or the race, and I think having a Worgen shaman so I don't have to play a space goat would be happy.
I kind of wish with the Worgen they would have did it like they did with the Turin, where this is just my opinion, purely my opinion. The Turin really look really cool when they have armor because it's always exaggerated, compared to everybody else's. I kind of wish the Worgen weren't so skinny. I kind of wish the Worgen were like these really big brutes, so when they wore armor, it really showed their armor more. But sometimes I notice that I don't like the full armor sets on Worgens all the time compared to what I like them on other tunes. Mm-hmm. But I think they need to make the Worgens more beefy. In my opinion, completely.
It would make their run form, their travel form, look a little ridiculous, though.
The armor would look cooler.
I think they would look less half-human if they were beefy, and I think the point of the Worgens is so that they look human on the underlyings, that they look human because they once were human. Am I wrong about that?
No, Blizzard actually said, and I mean, no, you're not wrong, that I think they mentioned in the interview they never really were interested in the idea of Worgen as a playable race. They were interested in the idea of a race that shapeshifted between two forms. So yeah, they definitely would want to keep the human connection evident.
And if you look at a dire wolf and what a dire wolf is, they're always skinny. They're always got that emaciated look. And I think they wanted to keep
I don't know what
that.
emaciated means, but it sounds hardcore.
It's not healthy to be. It's like you're starving.
Yeah, where your stomach's inverted because they wanted to keep that dire wolf look.
I guess I picture Van Helsing, in that movie Van Helsing.
I promise I have education, people, but these guys are pulling out some really words I've never heard before. And I actually have a college education. I'm a freaking web developer for a living, and these guys are really testing me on my vocabulary. I'm a little embarrassed.
3 syllables and I'm screwed. So
we did have. This is actually a really great question from Odd Job Duck Sauce.
Nice.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Who would win out of a battle between the main bosses of each expansion?
Well, Deathwing is the size of a city, so he could probably just breathe fire on everyone else. So all the other main bosses have been pretty small.
True.
What would Illidan do?
Illidan was not prepared for this fight.
He would say you're not prepared, and Arthas would just take one real quick slash and you'd be dead.
Maybe kill
No,
Jaden
Arthas
to
is-
do something if you fought him fully summoned instead of half summoned.
TJ.
Yeah.
TJ ain't got nothing on Deathwing. He's just like you said. He's the size of a city. So
Yeah, kill Jaden is a demon lord who could probably be as big. And remember, Archimond was giant.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant question, and Oddjob's a very, very clever person for asking such a question. I can't pick. There's far too many awesome bosses.
Yeah.
I just,
Seriously, they-
listen, I feel like because Huge Bloke's favorite thing to do is troll Ponecast as his alter ego, which Oddjob Duck Sauce is
Nice.
Huge Bloke, in case you guys didn't know. So I knew that, which is why I made sure I asked the question, because he's done that to me before. But he...
No, it's
They
a
are
legitimate
one.
question, though. Because I get into this argument all the time, and I honestly, every time it comes up, I change my answer because there's too many of them. So I wanted to get your opinion.
I'm just going to say Warlocks for the win. I know
No.
Warlock isn't involved anywhere, but Warlocks for the win.
Arthas would win because, come on, he had an undead dragon for
Yep.
it. He would take care of Deathwing.
Yeah,
I think there should be a meme.
fight. He doesn't have it during the boss fight against him since we already killed her.
But it was still his pet, though.
Yeah.
He's
So I
like,
think
pitch your
we
mind.
have to fight with him. I mean, if you're just comparing final bosses.
I would say I think there should be a meme where Illidan versus the Lynch King, and the meme would show the Lynch King pointing his sword at Illidan and saying, "You're not prepared. You're level 70," you know, or something really stupid. You know what I mean? So that'd be really funny.
Let's switch gears and let's talk to Ian a little bit about himself, about him, and then we're going to run him through the lore gauntlet, as it were. Ian, so my question has always been, for those of you who don't know who Ian is, he's famous for his first appearance at BlizzCon asking the question to the panel in 2010, and basically it completely stumped everybody. Nobody had the answer. I'm pretty sure they said they actually had to get back to you. Tell me how did that change from that one time and then you came back?
That wasn't the first BlizzCon I'd been to. It was just the first. I tried to get in line to ask questions previous years, but that was the first one where I made it before the panel ended. But BlizzCon's, aside from the fact that people will say hi and ask for a picture of me, though that seems to get a little better each year in terms of less people doing it, it's otherwise mostly the same.
But you find people recognize you more and sort of approach you more because you're red shirt guy. You're the guy that stumped Blizzard at their own game.
Yeah, I probably could if I wanted to make it so people wouldn't recognize me, but I make sure to always wear that red shirt when I go to BlizzCon. I bring multiple copies so I can wear one each day.
I was about to ask you, how many do you have?
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's called securing your brand. The red shirt's his brand, so he's securing his brand. Now, my question to you is, obviously, I mean, I know for myself, one of the reasons why I personally love you is not because you were famous at BlizzCon, is because you had such a huge knowledge of the lore on such a level that you were able to actually ask them things, and it's every year you ask them something where they either give kind of a half-ass answer, they don't really give you the whole answer, it's because they don't know, and I think you have that connection to World of Warcraft. How is that? Because is the lore your favorite part of the game?
It is. I don't really like games that don't have stories.
Or do you RP?
No, actually, I'm a bit nervous talking to people. I would like to focus on the pre-created story.
Gotcha.
What other games do you play?
I play a lot of story-focused games. I like BioWare's games. I like Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I like Telltale's games a lot. I wish they would return a bit to comedy. I love comedy stories. I hope they make a new Sam & Max game. Recently, I like the BioShock games. And recently, I have been enamored with the Alien game. I really liked that, how it was more like an Alien game than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I liked how they made the Xenomorph scary, except I think I won't talk about it because it's not an Alien podcast, but I had some issues with the ending of it.
Oh.
And your attention to detail is amazing, and I'm almost shocked that Blizzard has not hired you, because just in this 45 minutes we've been recording, I learned new words in my vocabulary, but in addition to that, I learned things I had no idea, and I thought I knew stuff. Apparently I don't.
I honestly think it's a bit of intimidation, because even like this year when you got up there, I love I forget which developer it was. You walked up her and they went, shit.
That was really
Chris Metzen.
Yeah, and then when
I don't think Chris Metzen was on the panel.
No, it wasn't Metzen.
No, it wasn't Metzen.
When you asked your question and they answered it correctly, they said, I guess we can retire now.
Wasn't Holinka on the panel?
I
thought it was Holinka.
Yeah.
But he's related to PvP, so I wouldn't have a question for him anyway.
For me personally, like I streamed the BlizzCon panels with some of you guys, and we were all present, and I was a little bit disappointed by BlizzCon overall. But that one moment where when you got up and you walked down, I saw you walk down the aisle there, and as soon as you stood up and they saw you coming, and the look on their faces, and it was like, oh shit, you know, and you can see that look of fear in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have we got everything in check? Have we done everything, and is it on par? And I think that's awesome. I think that's why so many members of the community love the fact that you're so detailed with it and in check with it, because it forces Blizzard to raise their game.
That's what we like.
They had to come back after that, what I like to call the most awesome incident of 2010 in Blizzard world. They had to go back and raise the game and
give answers,
line and stuff. So, I mean, personally, that's why I'm such a fan of yours. Like
Thank you.
Now, Ian,
sorry,
I don't know if you were done.
Oh.
Huge bloke. So being a lore person, a lore junkie like you are, you have Horde and Alliance tunes?
Yes.
So in your heart, though, if you noticed, I am wearing my Horde Mr. Pandaria shirt, of course. And my question to you is, where does your loyalty? Do you have loyalty to any one of them, or no?
I don't want to disappoint anybody. Red is my favorite color. As you probably knows, that's why I was wearing a red shirt. And I like a lot of I think the Horde might actually have better story at times, but I just honestly enjoy playing Alliance more.
Alliance more.
Thank you.
Now, are you happy that what's happened these two expansions are basically Horde based? You think that's right that they do that?
I think Cataclysm was definitely Horde-based. I think that was the expansion where Horde bias was a real thing. Mists of Pandaria, I think they tried. They did pretty well to have it even from launch to around patch 5.2. It kind of fell apart, starting with patch 5.3, where it became less Horde gets to the Pose Garrosh, Alliance gets revenge for all the stuff that's happened, to just Horde gets to the Pose Garrosh, and Alliance can help. And and Draenor has kind of been in the middle, I think.
But Draenor is not Horde; it's the Iron Horde. It's something totally different.
As in the Horde is getting more, as in the Horde story. They are getting a bit more with Thrall and Duratan and thus, whereas in the Alliance, Khadgar is neutral and everything, but Murad is dead. Pretty much every Alliance character who came to Draenor that was important is dead by now, except Khadgar, except Yerl. And Yerl technically isn't part of the Alliance. She says that she's neutral.
Right.
You know,
so I imagine she'll be part of the Alliance by the end.
Our Garrisons are better, I'm just saying.
I imagine she'll be.
Yeah, the Garrisons are much better, though.
In the movie Braveheart, where they're in not the final battle, but one of the finals. No, it was the final battle, I believe. And they're running down the hill, the Scottish, and there's all, hey, send in the Irish. And the Irish and the Scottish are running at each other. And then they meet up, and everybody stops. And they're like, hey, what's up? And I kind of thought that's what it was going to be in Warlords of Draenor, where the Horde will come through the gate, and the orcs would just look at each other like, what's up? Let's be friends, you know what I mean? But it didn't turn out that way at all.
One big problem I have with the Alliance and Horde story is Ashran. It is a really bad decision, I think, the story behind it. Yeah. Basically, the story is Horde wants to declare war on the Alliance, who just spared them again, which makes absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they removed this quote actually when they made him into an honor vendor, but the troll leader in War Spear of the City, not Volrath, I think his name is Shadowhunter Garant, used to say he was proud that they were betraying the Alliance and stuff.
Let's go ahead and do some timekeeping because we're cutting it a little bit close. It's gauntlet time. Ian, I hope you're ready. Here's how this works. He's going to ask questions back to back. I don't imagine there's going to come a time when you're going to not know the answer. But if you get stumped, just say pass, and he'll ask you the next one. And I will keep time, and I will say stop. Are you ready?
Yes. So the time will start after the first question. I did pick some hard ones. I threw a couple easier ones in there for you, but I did pick some hard ones. So, you ready?
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. What is the original name given to the Blood Elves?
The High Elves.
Who is General Trallian's lover?
Valyria.
The Emerald Nightmare was created by an old guard, not Xavius' satire one. Let's believe. Which one?
I believe it's Satyr, not satire, but Nizal.
The Karaji hailing from the Silphus and the Nerubians from the Northrend were the same race a long while back. What were they called?
The Akir. They also were sisters to the Mantle.
What was the Eridor's original home planet?
Argus.
Who was Ashara's right hand after Xavius' death?
I think you actually got me on one.
You want to pass?
I guess so.
Okay. Varian Rin goes by another name as well, given to him by the Orcs. Which one?
Logosh.
What it was Varian Rin's wife's first name?
Tiffin.
We know Ageman was the mother of Medivh. What was his father's name?
Niels Aran.
What is the...
Oh my goodness!
This last one, though.
Okay.
What is the name of the only surviving member of the first Council of Tirisfal?
Only surviving member of the first one would be...
I don't know.
The Khadgar is not the first council.
No?
I thought someone said so. Oh, I think you might have got me.
The one I stumped you on was...
It's homework.
Oh gosh, I forget which one it was. Oh, Captain Verithan was Ashvara's after Xavius' death.
I wasn't thinking of him as the apprentice. I was thinking of him as the military commander, since he was around even before Xavius. But yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Once Xavius died, he basically filled his shoes.
Yeah.
And the only surviving member of the first Council of Tirisfal? Meryl Felsel. The undead, not undead mage.
Yeah, and then first he was Meryl Winterstorm at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
Wow, the questions he was asking you, if you had put $1 million on the table, I would have been like, I'm not getting $1 million today. I could have never guessed, though. That is so awesome.
We are way over time, so Friza, I know you have some PvP stuff. You have exactly 2 minutes.
No, I just wanted to mention a few things. I know there's a lot of the balancing issues in World of the Draenor, but I wanted to say this, and purely my PvP opinion. Not everybody's going to agree. Many people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. I'm going to talk about 2 classes right now, just 2. I can go down the list. But like, there's warlocks, which are affliction, and then there's mages that are frost. And mainly, you're going to see frost in PvP, and you're going to see affliction in PvP. And I think a lot of it is not a balancing problem. What I believe is that some classes are going to be built better for PvP. And it's always been this way, and I don't think it has to do with damage. Some of it may. I understand. But Affliction, in my opinion, watching Affliction play in Arena, it's just a better class to be in Arena. And Frost is what you want to be, player versus player, one-on-one. You want to be a Frost mage. You don't want to be Arcane. You don't want to be Fire. You want to be Frost. Frost is a PvP spec. Whether it's not OP, I don't believe it's OP. It's just, in my pure opinion, there are some classes that you're going to see in, like right now, it's all about Frost Death Knights right now. And I just got to say, it's because that's just a better class. And now whether Unholy will be next year because they nerfed the Frost Mage, well, that's on Blizzard at that point. But I think there's just going to be some classes that if you want to do PvP, you're going to have to go with the flow because the spec that you are, it may not be good for PvP. Whether you do the same exact damage as the rest of them, it's probably just not going to be a great class to be. I mean, there's a lot of arcane mages, and they want to do PvP, and I just look at them and I'm like, dude, you have to change. You have to change. There's really nothing you have to change, you know? And that's just coming from the mage perspective. I understand there's monks and druids, that's perfectly balanced. If you go right now to the World of Warcraft community, you will see every type of druid in the top 1,000. All of them are different. Pharaohs, boomkins. You won't see no guardians, of course. But I will say though that if you really want to find out what's going on in the World of Warcraft community, go to worldofwarcraft.com and check out what people are playing in PvP. And if that's not what you are, don't just say, oh, well, I can be just as good. There's a reason why they chose that class. These guys mastered the game. They've been playing this game way more than you, longer than you. They've perfected it, and there's a reason why they chose that class and in this patch. And whether or not it's a nerf, whether or not it's an OP class, which there shouldn't be any more OP, it's mainly because that's just the class you have to be for PvP, not because it's more power. It's just it's better to play. That's my opinion for the day. Check it out. You know, if you don't see any arcane mages in the top 4,000, you can't be arcane. So you know,
don't listen to him.
That's awesome. I personally will not play Warlock unless it's destruction. So if Blizzard is saying sometime in the future that they have no plans on fixing the Warlock in PvP for destruction, I won't play it.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. That's what I'm trying to get
I'm not going to
through.
discuss it. Like, I don't want to banter about it because this subject frustrates me. I don't want to play a class of a spec I don't want to play just because Blizzard decides they're going to make Affliction the PvP.
Blizzard. It's like, the spec itself. You're able to dot people instead of having to cast.
But because Blizzard has decided that Affliction is going to be the PvP spec, that's their decision that they've made because they've made it so. Blizzard has made it to where that is the PvP for that reason.
I don't think they make any spec with the mind of this is going to be a PvP spec, this is going to be PvE spec. The people will decide which one is going to be better for what. And
makes sense.
And that's just I'm
doing Boomkin. I'm not even going to talk about the Warlock because it's going to get me way upset, and I'm going to it's really emotional for me, the Destro and PvP. I don't even want to go there.
Is it on the shelf now?
I'm getting actually sweaty because it's huge anxiety for me, so we're not going to talk about it anymore.
I'll talk about it.
Class specs, though, just one thing I've been thinking about lately. We kind of first saw it when Druids got a 4th spec with Guardian, and now that they've given Warriors this Gladiator stance that I think eventually they're going to have, if they want to keep Gladiator stance, they're going to have to split into its own spec, so I have a feeling we might start seeing 4th specs at some point.
I really hope so. Oh, I would love that. It would give me chills just thinking about it.
I agree with that. Also, before we end the show, you were telling us something pre-show. You discovered something in Tanaan Jungle because, as everybody knows, they've stated Tanaan Jungle it's going to be a future patch that they'll develop that content. But you can't. There's nothing you can do in there. But Ian, there is something. Tell us what you've discovered.
The extra exciting bit.
I noticed that when you fly to Ashran from anywhere in northern Draenor, like Frostfire or Gorgrond, you go past Tanaan and you can see this big Iron Horde harbor. And I wondered one day if you can actually go to it. And I checked, and it turns out you actually can. The subzone is called Tanaan Valley, and inside there are just a bunch of Iron Horde NPCs. They're level 100, most of them are elite, and they give Shatari defense rep when killed. You can't go into the zone itself, there's a big gate blocking the entrance. There's this weird little nook that has a bunch of NPCs. They form these little marching lines. I think they might be the same NPCs from Blade Fury's Command in Talador. They have similar names. My guess would be maybe they intended to have like a sneak preview of Tanaan as an Apexis daily area early on and kind of dropped it but never finished because it's still rather incomplete. There's nothing to do there but kill these NPCs.
So you can
It's
kill
still
them.
just this neat little area that just sticks out.
You heard it here first, folks. There's some Blizzard sneakiness.
I bet you there's
get me some Tanaan Jungle action.
I bet you there's always that intern that makes that one mistake and doesn't say anything to anybody, and you think that these guys are actually paying attention to all of their employees, and that one guy's like, did I close that part off of the map? I'm not sure I closed that off. And
one thing I just remembered, though, I tried pickpocketing them, and they're very sensitive. They killed me pretty instantly. But I found out they actually have a functioning graveyard in Tanaan. It's a spirit healer. It's just on the coast. It's not inside, so you can't go past the harbor still. But that's pretty
interesting. We're gonna after the show. We're gonna all head into the game, and we're gonna see what this is about.
I'll show you where it is.
Yeah, we're gonna see. We have an escort.
I'm gonna slow fall everybody.
So what a spectacular show that we had. Me, Bell's Bites and Spam Burgers Meatballs is gonna be shelved until next week. So, which we're happy to do so because really, what a fabulous show. I wanted to thank all of you for being on the show. Ian, thank you for giving us your time. This was a pleasure, and we would love to have you back to theorycraft some more with Lycan on some different lore stuff.
You're very welcome, and it was a pleasure as well.
I love that. See?
If you ever want me to guest star again, just ask.
Oh, we will, absolutely.
For sure. For those of you who are listening on iTunes or watching on Stitcher, give us a review. If you like us, give us some stars. Tell us where you heard from us. We get random iTunes one. Turbo in real life, I'm going to give you a shout out. He did say it was an instant favorite, and he gave us 5 stars. But if you're listening to the show, give us 5 stars. Tell us you like us. If you're watching the show on YouTube, give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel. Email us, send a courier pigeon, something to tell us. We know the listeners are there. This month was an all-time record of listeners so far in the month. And, I mean, it's the 20th of the month, and we already have 3,000 downloads on iTunes. So we know that you guys are out there. We just want to hear from you now.
Yeah.
Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Ponecast. To get a hold of the red shirt guy, he does not divulge his 2 names, so he doesn't have to be hounded by whispers. He is on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
I think it's just at the red shirt guy.
Yeah.
Give him a follow on Twitter. Tweet to him how awesome he is. Do some theory crafting. But
people who are watching.
Yeah.
Right. It's at the end of the day. I'm so
also
tired.
let us know how awesome our number 1 fan Walker White and our number 2 fan Odd Job Doug Saucer.
Oh, you're funny.
Dog. And I forgot a few episodes ago to give a shout out to my bestie. I have a page bestie. His name is Colin. I don't remember if I ever gave him a shout out, but I wanted to make sure that he got the shout out. Colin is my bestie this week, the next couple weeks, because he said something really funny on the page. So I told him I would shout him out for being my bestie. Thank you guys for joining me. If you need to get a hold of any of the cast members, ponecast.net has everybody's emails. Like us, subscribe, come see us on Facebook. We're glad that you join us every week. This is pretty awesome. We're excited about things to come. And once again, Ian, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure. And my boys, I have fun with you guys every week. Your family. Next week is the aftermath of Christmas. So I've been stalking UPS all day because my brand new computer's on the truck, and it's 10:30 at night, and they're still not here. So more to be continued.
I have 2 kids. I might still be drunk.
We don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, we don't really know. But thank you guys for joining us, listening and or watching. We had a blast. Make sure you check us out, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.